This video will cover column or bar graphs, even though we kind of started the concept in the previous video. As a reminder, these are intended to be watched in full and in order, so go back and watch those that came before as needed. The video that came before this was an intro to graphing, or graphs, which included the initial questions you have to ask yourself to get to the point of determining if you're doing a column or bar graph. So now we'll walk you through how to create that column or bar graph. I'll walk you through the steps for Sex 1, and you'll need to repeat it for Sex 2. First, make sure you click a blank cell. That is not adjacent to any other values. If you don't do this, when you select a graph, Excel will attempt to predict the value range for your graph based on the cursor location, and that can be a bit confusing. Now, go to the Insert tab and select the chart type. Make sure that you select the 2D option because we're going to add error bars later, and the 3D option does not allow for this. So again, go to click a totally empty cell that is away from any actual numbers. Go to Insert, go into the chart options and select a 2D column or bar graph. Once you click on the visual setting you want, then a blank box should appear. Move the white rectangle that appears away from the formatted table so that it's easier to access. Now we have to assign the data we want to appear in our graph. Under the Chart Tools option, as long as your chart box is selected, select the Design tab and then select Data. So again, as long as that white box is selected, you should have a chart tool set of options. Go to Design, select Data, and a pop-up should appear. Again, push pause as needed. This is one of the few points where different versions of Excel might look different. So keep in mind that series are your Y values and the categories are your X values. Click Add to add a data series. First, we'll do this for Sex 1. Enter the series name Sex 1. Then, where it has the value for series values, we delete what Excel already has. And then after we delete what Excel has, we will click the little pop-up data select series information. You can then highlight the cells with the values you want plotted. Because we want the average body measurements for Sex 1 from the formatted table, those are the values that you will highlight. Again, you're removing any series information Excel put in there, then you are selecting the average values for Sex 1 in the formatted table. And then once you have that selected, push Enter or OK. Some things to consider to make sure you're on track. Your chart should have 8 columns or bars. If there are additional columns or bars, verify you got the values from the formatted table, not up above in the averages. Now, we don't want the x-axis to show up as 1, 2, 3, etc., but instead as the body parts measured. So we click Edit for the x-axis horizontal values and do the same as before where we selected the value range. Under the x-axis label range, you will select the header categories from the formatted table. In this case, the categories in our data table, and hit Enter or OK. And that should change those labels. If the bar is too small, you can also increase the size by grabbing any of the corners in the graph and dragging it larger. Now take a second and repeat the process for Sex 2. Make sure your chart is selected and go back to the Select Data Source window. Notice Sex 1 Averages have been incorporated into the Legend series. Click Add and follow the steps previously described for Sex 2. By the end, you should have both Sex 1 and 2 averages on a single chart, and you should only have to change the header for one of the 2 data sets, then it'll automatically maintain it for the other graph. The next video you'll watch is going to be error bars.